Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hi.
Now, good evening, everyone. How was
Good
today's work?
evening, ma'am. We
Oh,
thank
it
God
was
for
awesome.
yourself.
We thank God. Now, this evening, we are looking into the introduction to language skills. Introduction to language skills. Now, I would like us to discuss what language is. Please let's communicate through the chats. Anyone that can tell us what language is?
In my point of view, a language is a tool for communication.
Awesome, awesome. That's nice. Another person. We need just 2 people again. Because of time. Language is a means of communication. It is a tool for communication. It is a major vehicle by which human beings communicate. Awesome, awesome.
I think Josephine wants to say something. Josephine.
Okay. Hello. Josephine, raise down your hands and talk, please.
Josephine, can you hear us? Would you like to speak? Josephine, you raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat.
Language makes it easy to communicate. That's nice. In teaching learning process, the role of language cannot be overemphasized, as it is a medium by which all the subjects in the curriculum are taught in formal education from pre-primary to post-secondary. It is indispensable in our society because it is a tool for the transmission of society's values from generation to generation. Awesome, it is the ability to use words to communicate. At times you don't use words because we have verbal and non-verbal communication. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
For
please.
anyone to be proficient in the use of any language, whether it is your mother tongue, whether it's your second language or foreign language, attention must be directed to the development of the 4 basic language skills from a childhood state. What we are talking here now is that there are 4 main skills of language. It can be skills of communication. We can say they are skills of communication and they are skills of language, they are language skills. And before you can say that you are proficient or you are competent in any language, these 4 skills must be acquired. You must acquire these 4 skills. And these are listening, speaking, reading, and writing. These skills are in chronological order. Listening comes first because we have to listen to a language before you can speak it. After speaking the language, you'll be able to read. After reading, then comes writing. And these skills can be grouped into 2. We have the receptive skills. Those are the skills we use to get information, to receive information from one person. While we also have expressive skills. These expressive skills are used to pass information from one person to the other. The expressive skills are listening, and reading. The expressive skills are used to express our feelings. They are used to pass information across to others. And these language skills are very important because they are central to activities of learners. You know, most of the time, every time, learners listen to the teachers in their class, and they also listen to discussion from their colleagues. So these language skills are very, very important. But because of time, let's quickly focus on the listening skills. Yes, the listening skills. The listening skill is the first language art skills people learn. You should not be surprised that you and I started listening from our mother's womb. We listen from our mother's womb. And in this listening we have, it is very, very different from that of hearing. Listening is conscious, while hearing is unconscious. We listen, we discriminate sounds, but in hearing, we hear undiscriminately. In hearing, we perceive every sound. We perceive every sound undiscriminately, while in listening, there is selection of perception of sounds. In learning, listening is very, very important. We learn how to listen because we want to gain things from it. There are some things that we hear unconsciously. There are things we hear unconsciously. Now, I would like us to send from the chat things that we can hear unconsciously. The things we can hear unconsciously, please. The next slide, please. Yes, we unconsciously listen, or we unconsciously hear, and we consciously listen. We listen to news broadcasts. I hope you are following me. Hello, everyone.
Hello. We are listening. We are listening. Continue.
Okay.
Nafisah, unmute yourself. I muted everyone.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Go on, Nafisah.
Okay. We consciously listen to news broadcasts. We want to know what is going on through listening to the news. Then we listen to telecasts of programs. We like to listen to presentation. We listen to our lecturers. When lecturers are lecturing in their class or the teachers are teaching in their class, we listen to them. We also listen to address at an occasion. We listen to recorded tapes and we listen to sermons, among others. But we unconsciously listen to certain things. We intentionally listen to those we have just mentioned, but unconsciously, we listen to the sound of moving vehicles. When you are walking around the streets, you cannot perceive the sounds of those vehicles. You can only hear the sounds and the noise from the football field. We listen to noise from football fields, then the sound from the motor park. Those that are selling pure water, sachet water, drinks, and many others. We just hear them. And every sum of sound in the environment. That is where we are saying there is very, very difference between listening and hearing. We listen consciously while we hear unconsciously. For academic purpose, listening takes place in a formal setting of classroom, laboratory, office, and any other place designated for instruction. In this case, the listener has a pre-planned intention to listen for any other reasons. We do listen to get information on certain subject matter. When you are discussing an important thing, we listen to it to get some facts. Then we listen to get instructions on how to carry out certain tasks. We are asked, how do we mix two primary colors to get secondary color? So we listen to that because we want to get some facts.
Thank you.
Then we listen to get updated knowledge and to get entertained. We listen to get, then let's say you go to the hospital to see a doctor and the doctor prescribed medicine for you. Intentionally listen to the prescription of drugs.
Hello.
So that we not misuse the drugs. We listen in order to acquire knowledge and many other things. For us to say that we have listened, we have the listening skills, one must be able to recognize sounds. A good indicator of effective listening skill is the ability of students to recognize sounds of language. You should be able to distinguish phonemes from underlying letter of alphabets of languages. That will lead us to the components of listening skills. The components of listening skills, we have the sound recognition and the listening comprehension. In sound recognition, as I said earlier, it is a good indicator of effective listening skills because it is the ability of students to recognize sounds of language before you can say you want to teach your students a particular subject, the language you want to use, they must be able to recognize the sounds. That is why we have to let our pupils know the sounds of the language. We are teaching, we let them discriminate between the sounds and the letters they represent. For example, when you are pronouncing bed, B-E-D, it's quite different from bird, B-I-R-D. So then the listening comprehension, for us to say we are competent in a language, we must be able to listen and comprehend. As we said, that listening is hearing with comprehension. Listening is hearing with comprehension because you have to use your ear. As we all know that ear is for hearing. You hear with your ear while you listening in order to comprehend. So listening comprehension is another index of effective listening. It is the activity of the language user to effectively interpret spoken phrases, clauses, and sentences. This could be in form of dialogue or storytelling, which the language user is expected to understand. That will lead us to the types of listening skills. The types of listening skills include attitudinal listening skill, informational listening, appreciative listening, and critical analytic listening. In attitudinal listening, these listening skills comes when there's creation of a positive environment that make your listener or pupils to want to hear what you are about to say when the environment is conducive, when they have positive feelings towards the environment, be the speaker or the setting of the language where the talking or the speaking is taking place. That is where we have attitudinal listening. That is the attitudes of the listener towards the environment. Then the informational listening. That informational listening comes when we make the information relevant and we help people appreciate its usefulness. The pupils will be able to willingly to listen attentively. That is when the information is relevant to the pupils or to the learners, even to our listeners. It might not be in the class, but for you, for us to say, this is I want to tell you about what you can do to prevent AIDS. When you are talking to other ones, even in the class, you know AIDS is real. So the pupils and other listeners, they will be willing to listen effectively. But I don't want to contact Edo. So they will listen. They will be willing to listen. Then we have appreciative listening. That's what requires children to listen beyond the information given to them. After giving them the information, when you tell them that after giving you this information, you are going to express your own opinion. When students are eager to express their opinion after talking with them, they will embark on appreciative listening. Then critical analytic listening. This involves listening to the points made by the speaker. When you listen to the points made by the speaker, then the learners will be asked to express their own conclusion. When learners are expected to express their own conclusion, they will listen critically. They will listen critically. They will think critically. That is that about the types of listening skills. Now, let's come to things that can help us to have effective teaching listening skills. For effective listening skills to be appreciated or to be achieved in the class, you as teachers, you must also test your own listening ability. You must test your own listening ability. That means you assess your own listening ability, because you want your students to give you undivided attention. For students to give you undivided attention, you too must give those students undivided attention. You listen, you look at the eyes of the learners. You are talking to or you are teaching. When doing that, you'll be able to listen to them. You don't divide your attention. When you are teaching, you don't, for example, let's say you are teaching the class, you are teaching the pupils. You are talking, you want them to listen to you, and you are receiving calls. You have given your learners divided attention. You don't want your learners to give you divided attention. You too, you must not divide your own attention. Secondly, you must give clear instructions. You must give clear instructions. When you give clear and simple instructions to the pupils, there is no need of repetition. There is no need of repeating what you have said. The more you are giving them simple and clear instructions. Then you should use pleasant sounds. Whenever you want your learners or your listener to listen to what you are saying or what you are teaching them, you use pleasant sounds or visual signal to alert the learners. When you get to the class, you can stand in the front of the pupils. You use good morning, pupils. How are you this morning? But not when you get to the class, you're saying, good morning, pupils, stand up. The learners will not have interest in you, nor have interest in what you want to teach them. Then you can also use sounds, finger play, or body movements actively to arouse the interest of the learners. For example, when you get to the class, hello, pupils, hello, ma. Hello, students, hello, ma. How are you this morning? Hello, hello, pupils. Hello, students. How are you this morning? We are fine, thank you, ma. No, the interest of the learners will begin to arise. The learner will like to hear from you. Then you can also use signals. Stand up, you can raise up your hands. They will stand. Sit down, you lower your hands. Those things will increase the interest of the learners. Then we can also use listening comprehension. We can also use listening comprehension. These are best practice. It's one of the best practices in teaching listening skills. Listening comprehension exercise. This can be done by reading passages for the learners to listen. It can also be done by playing it to them. Then you ask questions.
Nafisah, we can't hear you.
Maybe it's our network.
Maybe. Let's hope she'll come back soon. I think she was talking about comprehension exercise.
Yes, very, very interesting.
Where's your phone? Where's your phone?
I think Nafisah is having some network issues. Please bear with us. Let's hope she'll be able to rejoin us soon. I think Vincent raised his hand. Vincent.
Yes, mommy. Mommy, good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, house. I'm good, mommy.
Good.
Mommy, please. In fact, this thing we are learning here is very, very, very very educative. And I would like to share with my colleague teachers in school. I don't know if the slides can be shared on the platform so that I can have access to it too.
Okay, yes, I'll do that. I'll do that.
Thank you very much, Mommy.
Okay. I don't know what's happened to our host. I think she's off air. Maybe she's having some network connectivity issues. Yes, I will share the slides on the groups. Okay, maybe while we're waiting, if we have any other methods of teaching good listening skills, if you have any other ideas that Nafisah has not mentioned, maybe we can put it in the chat. She's talking about how to teach listening skills. I don't know what's happened to Nafisah. Let me try to call her. In the meantime, like I said, you can put your ideas for teaching good listening skills in the chat.
All right, good evening, everyone. Sorry, while we're trying to get Nafisah back, I just remembered that there's this game that I have experienced before. Anyway, it's called, I think it's called running dictation, something like that. So with running dictation, there are two groups of people, and one of them reads and then runs to somebody else to dictate what he or she has read, and that second person tries to write it down. So the team that is able to finish the dictation the first and be the most accurate is the winner of the game. So basically it promotes listening skills, and it also helps learners to practice reading and speaking, and then they have to listen and then write. So like all the 4 language skills that she talked about are practiced with that game, but it's really good to help listening in a fun way.
Oh, thank you, Rashida. Thank you. That's very helpful. It reminds me of another game, Chinese Whispers.
Hey, Mommy. Hello.
Yes, so I've just spoken to Nafisah. She said she's having network issues and she hopes she can join us soon. So yeah, Rashida spoke about a dictation game. I also mentioned Chinese Whispers. It helps with listening skills. It's a good game to see how information can be distorted from one person to another. So any other suggestions about teaching good listening skills? Anybody else? You can unmute or type in the chat. How can we teach good listening skills? Jotting down points also helps in interpreting what was heard. Chinese Whispers, yes. Chidimba Muche from Port Harcourt. I get my pupils to sing songs. I intercept a distracted learning process, so they respond and we all get back. Running dictation. That's what Rashida said, running dictation. Okay, I think Nafisah is joining us back again. Nafisah is joining back, so maybe she'll be able to continue. Nafisah, are you with us? Nafisah, are you back?
Hello, ma.
Hello, okay,
Yes,
welcome back.
I'm here. I'm very sorry. Now we were talking about the best practices in teaching of listening skills in the class. We stopped at the use of listening comprehension exercise. That is when I was talking about giving passages, reading passages to the hearing of the pupils. Then we ask questions, oral questions, while they put them down. Then we can also use oral sound discrimination. As we have talked earlier, that listening skills is a very, very important in the class. And for that to achieve the listening skills, the learners or the listeners should be able to discriminate sounds. So oral sound discrimination is one of the strategies of teaching listening skills in the class. In this one, the students is made to listen to sounds of a given language and decipher the sounds by identifying them in the word context. The teacher can use mineral pairs to bring out the differences between two sounds. For example, the teacher of A, as we have the long A and short A, as in bed, build. For these students, as we all know that the letters of the alphabet are different from the sounds of the alphabet. I could remember when I was in one of the about you, I can sign my alphabet. What about you? A as in ant, B as in bag, as in keg, as in dog, E as in egg, as in fan, as in gun, as in hat, E as in ink, as in jag, as in keg, as in leg, as in mat, as in net, as in okra, as in pot. You can see that the sounds in pots and in bag, the B, which is balabia, voice balabia, B, is different from that P, as in pot, and B, as in bag. So make the students to discriminate between the sounds. We can even ask the students to say, we can test their sound discrimination by asking them to say yes. You can put, let's say, I ask them, if you hear me saying the place where Christians worship, you say yes. If it is wrong, you say no. You can say church, church. That is when the learners will say yes, because that's the place where Christians, where they do worship. Then we can also pronounce church, church, church. You know, there is difference between the two of them. So with that, the pupils will be able to discriminate between che and sh, che and sh. That's when we help them to listen effectively. Then we can also use recorded conversation or dialogue. We can play the dialogue, the recorded conversation or dialogue in the class. Then we ask questions after listening to the dialogue. Then recitation of poems or songs. We can recite poems or songs in the class. Then we ask the pupils to mention or to give instances of words that are rhyme, the words that rhyme. That is why we are talking about alliteration, the rhythmic pattern of the words. For example, twinkle, twinkle, little star, I have wondered what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. All those ones can be used to teach listening skills in the class. You ask them, what are the words that have the same rhyme? or you ask them to give you the rhythmic pattern of the poem. So also, we can play short stories in the class, or you narrate short stories. After narrating the stories, you ask the learners to answer some questions. You ask questions from them. That is when we'll be able to know that this effective listening has taken place or not. Now, what are the classroom activities that emphasize the skills of listening? Those activities can also be expanded from the skills we have just said, we have just talked about. That is the use of oral tests. The use of oral tests that require more than only word answers. You can give them oral tests. Listening people just write only answers. What is a photosynthesis? The pupils will listen attentively because they know that you want to ask them questions. Then you can ask children or learners to review the work of the previous day in a subject. So someone who was absent. When you know that you want to do that, we'll be able to know if the listening skills, the listening has taken place effectively. Then you can also use others. You give commands. Up. The pupils will stand. Down. The pupils will sit down. Shut the door. Shut the door. That is when the pupils will listen attentively. Then you can read out short passage, as earlier said, while the students listen, after which questions are put to them. We can also use discrimination of sounds, as earlier said. Now to the factors affecting successful listening skills. For successful listening skills to have taken place, these factors are considered. For example, a student that has hearing impairments, a student that has hearing disorder will not be able to listen effectively in the class. You will think he's listening, but he's just hearing some sounds, but he cannot decode them. He can hear few sounds because, as we know, that listening is ability to recall what one has heard. Ability to recall what one has heard is different. It makes listening different from hearing. So anyone with hearing impairments will not have effective listening. Then anyone with brain damage, that is when you'll be talking about the head, and the listener will be replying, talking about the tail. Then the emotional or psychological state of the listener. If a listener or your learner is disturbed, your learner that is not happy, the learner that has not eaten for days, the learners that has just beaten will not be able to listen effectively in their class. There is an adage that says, an hungry person is an angry person. So there will be no effective listening if your learner or the listener is not in good state of mind. It's not in good mood. If a learner is in bad mood, the learner will not be able to listen effectively. The learner might be hearing you, they might not listen. There will not be comprehension. Likewise, the intelligent quotients. The IQ of learners is very, very important. For effective listening to take place, a learner with high intelligent quotient will be able to recall what he or she had heard. But one that has low IQ, intelligence quotient, whose intelligence quotient is low, will not be able to recall majority of what I've taught them. That is why we can differentiate the gifted from others. Then also the setting is very, very important. The setting where the talking or the teaching takes place is very, very important. When you are teaching in a noisy environment, let's say they are playing football on the school field and you are teaching, your class is beside the football field. They are having match on that day. The pupils can never listen to you. And even when you are teaching, you are using harsh language to teach the pupils, or you are using ambiguous language, there would not be effective listening. When you are using language that is, that your choice of words are higher than the level of the students. You are teaching primary 3, lower primary, primary 2, primary 1, or nursery class, and you are using ambiguous language, defamation of character, said by the something or by somebody, done by the some. That's one that will not be effective listening. They will just think that you are making an incantation. They will think you are making a, so the language you want to use must match, must be relevant to the learners we are teaching or to the listener we are talking to. Then the purpose of speaking. When you let your learners know the purpose, when the purpose why you are talking or speaking is relevant to the pupils know the purpose of your teaching, they will be able to listen attentively. But when what you are teaching is not relevant to the pupils or the purpose is not known to them, there will not be effective listening. Last but not least, that is the medium of the message. You can see what happened some minutes ago. The medium was interrupted. That is the network. When the medium of the message is interrupted or is faulty, there will not be effective listening. You are using a microphone and the microphone is just going up and down. The microphone is coughing. There will not be effective listening. That will be interrupted message. Then, for example, I could remember when I was in school, one of our lecturers told us a story. He said when they were young, so in those days, they didn't understand this English language very well. And their teacher asked them to speak in English whenever they want to take permission. One boy wanted to go to the toilet. He asked his friend, well, how do we say? He said it in Yoruba, in our local language here. How do we say you want to go to the toilet? That one doesn't know it. He asked the other guy at the back, Bola, how do we say it? Bola said, I didn't know it. Bola, they asked another person, how do we say it? Then that person knew it. The last person knew it. He told Kemi. Kemi told Bola. But by the time the message reached the boy that wanted to take permission, would you know what the boy said? He said, I want to go and pass St. Peter. Instead of saying, I wanted to go and pass Escrita at that time. He said, and I quote, I want to go and pass St. Peter. Everybody burst into laughter. That is why we said the medium of the message is very, very important. The channel of the message is very, very important. So when you are teaching in the class, even your voice must be vocal. You must not have a coarse voice. The voice must be vocal. If your voice is vocal, you cannot be using bedroom voice when you are teaching pupils or when you are teaching your learners in the class. That will not be effective teaching. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes. I would like our people to give us more factors that can affect successful listening in the class.
Okay,
Through the
please,
charts.
black belts, Nafisah wants you to write in the chat other factors that affect listening skills. What are other things that can affect listening skills? Vincent.
Good
You
evening,
raise
Mommy,
your
once
hand,
again.
Vincent.
It can also be the tonation of the speaker.
Yes.
How the tonation. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. The accent or intonation.
Yes. Yes. Appearance of the teacher. Yes. Chidima.
Accent, he said. Yeah, okay.
Evans. Awesome. The environment. Hunger, that is the emotional state of the listener. The noise, yes. And we should not forget that we have the verbal and non-verbal. We have the verbal and non-verbal. That is when we are talking about the use of sign language. When you are teaching the hearing impaired students. The awkward sitting position, yes, that is the environment. Bad attitude, that is when there will not be attitudinal listening. Temperature of the environment, awesome. The speaker mood, larger classroom, that is the setting. Yes. With incompetency of the teacher, yes, when the teacher does not master the subject matter effectively. And when the teacher does not master, then the teacher is stammering when teaching their class. The pupils will not listen effectively. Now, with these factors we have all talked about, I believe that after this class, after this session, every one of us shall improve on our lapses in teaching in the class. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nafisah. That was very informative, very interesting. I have learned so much. Thank you very, very much. Now we can open the floor for questions. If anybody has any questions that they want to ask Nafisah, we could go ahead.
Okay, I have a question, ma.
Yes, Victoria, go ahead.
Okay, one of the factors mentioned there is brain damage. I want to ask her, how do you easily identify a child that has brain damage in the class? Is it easy to identify a child that has brain damage, at least, especially when it is not shown? Maybe you see a child looking normal, but the brain is damaged somehow. How can we
I don't
easily
think a child with brain damage will look normal, Victoria.
Yes, because a child with brain damage will not behave well in the class.
Exactly.
He will not behave well in the class. When you ask such child to sit down, that is when the such child will sit down and be disturbing others.
Okay, that is
He
their autism.
He will wish to go outside and play.
Okay, that is the autism now. Autistic children with autistic problem. Am I right?
Yes,
I think they're all different.
Also,
they're all different.
Although they are different, but their behaviors will not be normal.
Okay.
The behaviors will not be normal.
I think we can just generally say children with a learning disability.
Okay.
They will not be able
one
to
is quite
listen.
different. Excuse me, ma.
Yes.
Children with learning disability is different from brain damage students. Okay. Brain damage can be from inborn or through accidents or any other cause. But learning disability is a child that has disability in learning. Those such children are slow learners. Slow learners are different from brain damage learners.
Okay,
Hello?
ma. Hello, ma.
I think we have cleared that one, ma.
Yes, ma.
Okay.
And I want you to throw more light on attitudinal listening skill.
Yes. I said in attitudinal listening skills, that is when you create a positive environment. When the environment is conducive for the learner. When the teacher creates or arouses the interest of the learner and the setting, place where the learning takes place, we make the student to give attitudinal listening. That means the environment motivates them to possess that attitude. That is when the learners have positive attitudes towards the teaching.
Thank you, ma. You're wonderful.
You know, the more positive and motivated the pupils are, the more they listen.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome, ma.
I really enjoy your teaching. Thank you so much.
All right. Well,
Welcome,
it's 6 o'clock. Once again, thank you so much
welcome.
to Nafisah Oyepeju Abdrauf. I have there's some comments here. Obaji Carol. I don't think a brain damaged child should be in a learning environment with learners that are okay. I think such a learner should be sent to a special school. Well, we can talk about inclusion on another day. That's something, Carol, that we can address in another session, inclusive education or special schools. But that's not for our topic for today. Evans Nzumbinyame said, what could be the problem with one of my learners who, when you speak loud, they can't hear, but softly they can hear? That's an interesting question. Why should we be shouting loud anyway? Evans, I think your pupil prefers the soft
tone.
Yeah, then maybe
soft
the
tone.
loudness is too aggressive.
Yes, it's harsh.
Okay. Yeah, Victoria said there is always inclusion. Like I said, inclusion is another topic for another day.
Yeah.
It's a huge topic, inclusion. Kudos to Mama Nafisah. Well done, my dear mentee. Okay, that reminds me. Next week, we are having our HP Mark II graduation. Mentees will become mentors. Before the graduation next week, on the 17th of November, God willing, we are planning to have a pre-graduation meeting for the mentees and the mentors. I will post it on the mentees and mentors WhatsApp group. I am planning that for this Saturday evening, because the graduation is next Thursday. It's a virtual graduation. If you're not yet an HP mentor, a teacher, mentee, don't worry. Hopefully after the graduation, we will have more mentors and more mentees, hopefully. So don't worry. And all the mentees, I know some mentees have some questions for me and some mentors regarding the little gift that was shared to some and not to others. So we tend to address all these in our online session. Details of the Zoom meeting will be shared. But next week, Thursday, there will be no session for all black belts. It will be a graduation for the HP Mat 2 mentors and mentees. Well done for sticking for the program for 6 months. So I look forward to seeing you next week for the graduation. And all the black belts are welcome anyway. You're all invited. I will post the Zoom link on this platform, on all the black belt platforms and the HP Mentor Teacher platforms. Thank you again. Have a nice evening. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.